Now, Senator Michael Bennet, Democrat from Colorado. Sir, I'm sure that you heard Speaker McCarthy there in that live interviews. We caught him coming out of the chamber with the adjournment of that vote right now. The ball's in your court. He's accusing the Senate of not doing its job. How do you want to respond to that?
I don't know what he's talking about. We passed a bill, a CR, with almost 80 votes in the Senate days ago, and we have been sitting here waiting for the House of Representatives to act on that CR, which funded our government, as well as extended funding for Ukraine and extended funding for the natural disasters, including Hawaii. And here we are on a Saturday afternoon after he has tried every single thing he could try, I guess, to satisfy the extremists in his party. And now he's coming and he's begging Democrats in the House to help keep the government open.
And do you think that will happen?
The Senate, which I have to say to the American people, I wish I were on Fox News. Anybody who has watched what has been going on the past few days knows that the Senate did its job in a bipartisan way. I don't know what I have no idea what he's talking about.
Trying to shift the blame, it would seem, sir. But let me ask you about the Democrats potentially crossing the line to work with the House Republicans to get something passed, this CR for 45 days. Are you hearing anything about that from your colleagues in the House?
Look, the bill just came out, and the last thing I'm going to do, I haven't read the bill. I'm not in the House, and I'm not, the House Democrats, the members in the House ought to have a chance to read the bill, and I'll be interested to hear what they have to say.
May I ask,
we obviously are. Sorry, go ahead, Alex.
No, may I ask, a bill like that, when he described it, again, this is the House Speaker describing it as merely a simple bill, just extending it the time and allowing for money to fund disaster relief in the interim should something occur. Is that something that's going to be super lengthy? I mean, what would be your experience? Would that be a couple of pages to go over? Would it be 25 pages?
I'm sure it's super lengthy. Everything around here is super lengthy. And, I don't have any idea whether the money for Ukraine, for example, is in the bill. It sounds to me like it's not in the bill. Mm-hmm. And I guess one thing I would worry a lot about is if we come back here in 45 days and there is no way to get these right-wing, extremists in his party to support the continued funding for Ukraine, which is the whole world is watching this. Vladimir Putin's watching this. All of our allies in Europe and Asia are watching this. Xi Jinping is watching this. And these guys can't even do the basic work of governing. This is a guy who took 15 votes or something like that to promise his life to the most extreme parts of his party. And now he's gone through that kind of nonsense again. And here we are. And I don't know. We'll see what the Democrats in the House decide. We obviously want to keep the government open, Alex. We want to fund disasters. We want to behave. We want to fund Ukraine. We want to behave in a responsible way without all this chaos. But you look at a party here that can't pull itself together enough to be able to stand with the brave people of Ukraine and Zelensky, their president. We've had this in the Senate. A guy, Tommy Tuberville, who's made it impossible for us just to confirm appointments to the Department of Defense, promotions to the Department of Defense, because of his right-wing and extremist abortion agenda. And in both cases, what they have done is they have brought our government, our exercise in self-government to its knees. I think the American people hoped that when they put Donald Trump out, that the chaos that came with Donald Trump would be a thing of the past. And for a while it was. Under this president, we passed bipartisan infrastructure bill. We passed the bipartisan CHIPS Act. We passed the most significant climate legislation in American history and capped drug prices for seniors together, mostly with Democrats and Republicans working together. And now they just can't avoid fumbling the football. They can't avoid the kind of chaos that the American people are so sick and tired of. Putin wins, Xi Jinping wins. Nobody here wins as a result of what they're doing.
Let me ask you, Senator, about the talks on a border security amendment in this stopgap bill, which appear to have failed to produce something both sides can agree on. I know, sir, that you were a member of the Gang of Eight that helped create this bipartisan, comprehensive immigration proposal that was back in 2013. Do you see room for compromise on border security that might help end this impasse on that front?
I think that you cannot, quote unquote, fix the border in a 10-minute conversation on the House floor when you have a shutdown bearing down on us. That's just ludicrous. Yes, I do think that there is a path forward for the United States of America. I'm deeply dissatisfied that the Obama administration didn't solve this, that the Trump administration didn't solve this, and the Biden administration has not solved this. We cannot sustain a situation where we have a criminal syndicate organizing people from all over the planet to come to our border, 10,000 and 15,000 people a day, and expect that to be sustained for very long. It won't work. In the Gang of Eight bill in 2013, there are still elements there. Pathway to citizenship for the 11 million people. Most progressive DREAM Act ever. $40 billion for border security. A rationalization of our visa process and of our asylum process. We have to have, I wouldn't even call it a compromise, a path forward for this country that honors our traditions as a nation of immigrants that's committed to the rule of law. And I think we can do that, but it won't be done by, as I said, in 10-minute conversations where people are holding a gun to each other's head on the floor of the House of Representatives. We need Democrats and Republicans to sit down together to engage our allies across the world in a thoughtful approach to go after the folks that are smuggling people here. Alex, the only way you can get in this country today and work is if you cross the border illegally. That's not the way this should work. We should have an orderly process that makes sense to the American people, and we should create a pathway to citizenship as we did in the Gang of 13 bill or the Gang of Eight bill in 13 for the 11 million people that are here. We should pass the DREAM Act. We can do this, I think, if we work together, but we're not going to do it in these 10 minutes.
Boy, I'm telling you, listen to you. It all makes sense. Amen to all of that. One more question for you, though, sir. What is the motivation of the extreme Republicans who are pushing for a shutdown? Are they not concerned this will impact their constituents too?
You know what? I don't think they care. I think it's chaos. I think that this started with the Tea Party, who ran for office, basically with a cartoon version of what the founding fathers were doing. If you listen to these people talk, you would think the founding fathers were in Philadelphia to dismantle a country, not found a country, not put a country together. And you saw, Donald Trump was the most extreme version of this. And, in my state of Colorado, which is a purple state, there was a lot of worry about whether chaos was all we could expect. Chaos, chaos, chaos. That's what we had out of Donald Trump. And we passed the most significant bipartisan bill on infrastructure since Eisenhower. We passed the first bill since Reagan was president and outsourced all of our stuff to Southeast Asia and China to bring an industry back here. We passed, as I mentioned earlier, the most significant climate bill that any government in the world has passed. And I think people are relieved. And then you see Senator Tuberville do what he does to make it impossible for us just to confirm, generals and admirals to the positions they've worked for all their lives. And then this craziness in the House. I think it's just it's the chaos caucus over and over and over again. And I can tell you, the American people are sick and tired of it, and they know they don't have to put up with it, and they're not going to put up with it.
I'm reminded of Philadelphia, which you just mentioned. I happened to have been there yesterday at Independence Hall, and it was both inspiring and utterly frustrating and depressing to think about that which was accomplished 250 years ago compared with what we are unable to accomplish now.
One way to think about that, Alex, I've thought about that too. And I think for better or for worse, we are founders right now. You're a founder. I'm a founder. The teachers in my old school district, our superintendent, are founders. Their kids are founders. And we have that elevated responsibility as citizens in this republic. And we can be terrible founders or we can be good founders. You know, and some of those guys at the beginning weren't so great themselves. Some were pretty amazing. You know, people like Frederick Douglass, the women who fought, you know, so women could have the right to vote in this country. I think they were founders just like the people at the beginning. And we're being called on the same way here. And these guys are failing that test. And the American people deserve better. And we better save this republic from those guys, or we're never going to fulfill the promise that, you know, people that came before us, that expanded freedoms and rights in this country to make sure this country became more democratic, more fair, and more free. You know, they didn't just turn it over to us. They turned it over to us on the theory that we would continue that work. And that's what they need to see.
I hope our viewers have been listening very carefully to you, sir. I would give you a bullhorn to repeat all you've just said if I had an opportunity. Senator Michael Bennet, good luck today. I know it's a busy one ahead of you as well. Thank you.
Good luck to all of us.
Thank you.